I just say I'm a wrestler, or what should I be like?
If you want, I mean...
I could just say my name and age.
You're a Street Fighter.
Huh?
Street Fighter, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to just be like, I'm a wrestler. I don't know.
Be like,
I'll just say something.
The next woman's WWE.
Oh, my gosh. Just make stuff up.
All right, and we are back with another episode of Joe's Mind. Today we have a very special guest, Yakima homegrown inbred wrestler, and she goes by the name of Guerin. She is a 4-time undefeated WIAA state champion, 5-time national champion, 3-time junior Pan American champion, and a 2-time junior Pan American champion, 2019 German Grand Prix champion, 2020 Olympic qualifier, 2021 NCAA, WCA champion, 2021 National Academic Scholar, and 2021 Senior Plan and Bronze medalist. And on that note, welcome, Guerin.
Thank you. My name is Guerin. I'm 21 years old. I wrestle for McKendree University and also Team USA.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming on to Joe's Mind. As you already know, Joe's Mind's podcast is about being a better version of yourself, and you absolutely have the credentials to speak on what it takes and what it means to be in a better version of yourself. So let's dive into your wrestling career. You have a lot of accolades. You've been wrestling for some time now, I'd imagine. How long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling since I was 5 years old, and I'm 21 years old now. So I've been wrestling pretty much my whole life.
You're dedicated to the sport.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So, what is your current weight class?
So my current weight class is 125, but it's 57 kilos. Mm-hmm. So, like international wrestling and national wrestling, it's 57 kilograms.
57 kilograms. So 125 pounds, 57 kilograms.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And you're currently wrestling for McKendree University?
Yes. So I just finished my first year at McKendree. I started this last year, so I was a freshman this year. I'm going into my sophomore year.
Nice.
So I'm wrestling for McKendree and getting my education there in Lebanon, Illinois.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what I'm
Shout
doing.
out Illinois. That's
Yeah.
what's up. So McKendree, I've heard it has like one of the best wrestling programs in the nation.
Yeah, they've been the top women's wrestling team for a few years now, and their men's team's also really good too. So, yeah, it's just been an amazing experience there so far. So I'm excited to just keep pushing, earning my degree and also getting 3 or 4 more national titles there. So they're a very good team, and the coaches and team is amazing. So.
That's awesome. It's cool to see the women's wrestling come up. I mean, Washington, as you know, is definitely one of the states that has, paved the way for women's wrestling. Mm-hmm. And seeing women's wrestling. I wrestled growing up, so I wrestled in little guys wrestling when I was about, I think, 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Wrestled in middle school, wrestled in high school. So definitely fan of wrestling. Definitely love the sport as well.
For sure.
But seeing like my high school and my middle school support the women's wrestling, just those that were wrestling, it's pretty cool to see. So to know that McKendree University is one of those schools that have a great program for the women's wrestling team it's good to know.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's amazing seeing, like, even since I was younger, I was telling one of my family members recently that I didn't wrestle a female till I was 11 years old. So I wrestled boys up until, the age of 11. So seeing being in high school, obviously having a sanctioned state in Washington was amazing because there's not every state has sanctioned women's wrestling. So I was blessed that I got to partake in that, and seeing the growth from like even the last 5 years has been amazing throughout like all levels. So it's been really cool to see.
That's awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so from 6 to 11 you're wrestling boys. How was that? Were you like, was it fair? Was it competitive?
Well, I feel like, so I started wrestling at 5, and then so like you mentioned, I wrestled little guy at first, so I wasn't doing USA wrestling until I was like 13. So it
Nice.
was seasonal. It wasn't like year round or anything. It was only for a few months out of the year. So even my training partners, most of them were boys. There was only maybe one other girl that was my partner as well. But just remember like going to so many different tournaments when I was younger for a little guy, taking third like so many times, or even like
Yeah.
fifth. Like it was. Oh, there was only a couple times I took first because I felt like the boys they were tough, and as I got older, I started finally taking first later on when I was wrestling boys. But I remember taking third a lot, and just
Yeah.
I feel like that really helped me when I got into middle school and high school, because I was used to wrestling like boys, and so
Hmm.
when I was wrestling some of the girls, it kind of made it easier and helped me like develop as a wrestler because I was used to wrestling them. So
Nice.
it was
That
cool.
makes sense. Like,
hmm
would you say you're more aggressive or stronger?
Honestly, for a while I was not the most aggressive wrestler. Even now I'm trying to work on like being a little more aggressive,
Yeah.
but I'm usually like, rely on technique as best as I can, obviously, and speed. But
Yeah.
aggression is a big part of wrestling. Obviously not like punching people in the
Yeah.
face or anything, but when I was younger, I remember my mom always telling me, "Come on, you got to get more aggressive. It's okay to be more tough on your opponent." But that's
Hmm.
something that I wasn't super good at when I was younger, but it's definitely gotten better now
That's
that I'm
good.
older.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah, no, it is. I remember when I was in little guys wrestling and I was in line. We were on deck, and our brother was like up ahead, and like his person that he was supposed to wrestle was like slapping him in his face, and we were like
oh my gosh.
kids, and I'm like looking at him like, why is he slapping himself in the face? And he's
Yeah.
like, they just, it's something they do, and
They get ready for some people are like that. And
yeah,
even when they're like even I've seen like senior level athletes, they like either they like to slap themselves to get ready, or their coach will slap them hard on the back or
yeah,
something like that. But for me, I feel like I have a little routine I go through. I like my coaches to shake out my arms and then like a firm pat on my back, but not like a
like
slap.
a
But
Ric Flair chop.
yeah, I'm like, no, I don't want to get like freaking a weld on the back. But
Yeah,
there's just like little things I know everybody gets. They prepare themselves before the match. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, everyone has their thing.
Mhm.
It's the mind state you
The
gotta get yourself
routine.
in.
So
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
So, recently you tried out for the Olympic trials, and definitely I was supporting you all the way through. So you were in my prayers and our wishes. So,
Thank you.
it's
Yeah.
cool to be able to speak to someone that participate in the Olympics. Even if it is the trials and
Mhm.
whatnot. But how was your experience with that?
So I qualified for Olympic trials back in 2019 in December. So I qualified. So I qualified back then, and obviously quarantine and COVID happened. So in 2020, April, that's when trials were supposed to take place, but then it got postponed entire year later. So there were so many people that were upset, and I can totally understand because a lot of people were planning, or women were planning, even men, to retire after that year. So like
Oh, wow.
taking a whole other year for training is like a lot. It's hard on your body. I mean, there's people that
Mhm.
are ready to retire, and they're already pretty much done. And so that year took a toll on a lot of people. But for me, that year was a blessing because I got to just keep preparing and getting better because I was one of the younger people, at trials. So I just took it as another year to prepare. And so I felt like my mentality from 2019 to when I competed this year was just get better and just obviously do the best I can. I wasn't like, I didn't have the mentality of, oh, I'll go and see what happens. My mentality was like, okay, I'm here for a reason,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna do everything I can to be on the Olympic team because I'm good and I know I deserve to be here. And
definitely.
I just remember there's even people and just coaches. I've heard some of them saying to people that qualified for the trials too, oh, it's okay if it's not your time, and like it's not your time. Just go in and see what happens. But my mentality for a while was like, no, I'm gonna be the Olympian because if I didn't have the mentality, then it would just be kind of like, I'm just gonna go in there
Like
and
while you're there, kind of.
like I didn't want to go without a purpose. So
Yeah.
I would say that whole experience mentally has helped me grow as an athlete and a wrestler. So that was really amazing itself because I got extra time from quarantine and stuff and COVID. So I know I've grown tremendously throughout that part, but also actually being there physically at trials. That was probably the best tournament I've felt like I've been present in my entire life because I
That's
just
awesome.
felt like I remember like everybody's there, literally the best in the country's there, men and women. So
Yeah.
you're surrounded by the best people in the country, best wrestlers in the country, if not the world. So like
Yeah.
literally the top athletes are there for wrestling, and I just remember like being younger, looking up to so many of these wrestlers that were older than me, and had huge accolades, and then actually being there now was amazing because uh, I looked up to these people for so long, and now I'm surrounded by them because I know I'm getting better.
Yeah, because you're a
And
badass.
thank you. And my wrestling career it's been amazing because the journey has just showed me like being surrounded by these people has just like showed that I've grown so much. So that was
Yeah.
amazing, just being around people like that, and then also competing against them was amazing. I just remember warming up was it was awesome. I was warming up, and then before my matches, there'd be like an area you walk through, and then you'd line up. You and your opponent, there'd be either red or blue because freestyle is red or blue singlets. So whatever
Yeah.
color you were, you'd line up before you head out and walked around to the stage on the mats. So that whole experience and like warming up, having my headphones in, and then taking them off to walk out on the trials mats was probably like the best feeling I've ever had because I felt like I didn't feel nervous, and I felt like I was almost like I felt light
Yeah.
because I don't know. I felt like I told my family that the feeling was like magical, being like just competing at that level because it's been my dream to be an Olympian for a long time, and so just being at Olympic trials was just an amazing feeling itself. So it was amazing.
Sounds like you're almost like on a natural high.
Yeah, I was. It was crazy because like I know I was nervous before, and like the second I walked out, there was like lights and smoke, and it was just like I was such a like so in the zone, but I was also like at the same time, what my coaches were just saying, have fun with it and
Yeah.
smile. Don't forget to smile and have fun. That's what my coach, Sam back at McKendree was telling me. Don't forget to smile, and then my coach Alexio was there too as well. So,
Yeah. Shout out Alexio.
yeah, of course, shout out to him for sure. But my coaches they've just been incredible and make sure that I believe in myself because I'm there at that tournament for a reason again.
Yeah.
So, but it was definitely a natural high being there, and it was amazing.
That's awesome. Do you feel like you were exactly where you needed to be?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I felt like I was like, this is exactly where I should be. And even though I didn't, I wasn't on the Olympic team, I wasn't upset about it because I have at least 2 or 3 more quads in me left.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I have my chances will be there still, and they will increase each time I go to trials. So I felt like I was supposed to be exactly where I was, no matter the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
How many women were in your bracket?
I think 16.
16.
If I'm correct. Yeah.
But you did. I mean, technically you placed, right?
Yeah, I took 4th.
Took 4th.
Yeah, so I was the top 4.
Dude, that's amazing. Like out of 16 women in the nation.
Yeah.
And your first time ever stepping out onto Olympic trials, you taking 4th. Like that speaks volumes. Like that's definitely that. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. You know, I mean, I know the goal is to get into the Olympics, but like for your first run up, like. It sounds like you're ready. Sounds like you're ready then, sounds like you're going to be even more ready.
I'll just keep getting better and prepare better. And I know everything happens for a reason for sure. And like every loss I have, it's like, that I'll cry and it's hard. But I know like mentally and even physically, I work on these things to help me get better. So it's like, I don't enjoy losing, but I enjoy the process. Like, cause you have to you can't beat yourself up too hard because you're not. I feel like I don't get anywhere, at least if I'm so hard on myself, and I just know that I'm gonna learn from it and just go from there.
Definitely. So how is it when you're like at a tournament and like because when you end up you essentially kind of almost have to go undefeated and to take first and second, right?
Hmm.
When you know you've lost that match where like you're now not wrestling for first and second, you're
Hmm.
wrestling for like third and fourth, like how do you get yourself to like not feel so like discouraged and just almost give up mentally?
Yeah, it's crazy because wrestling usually like they're either 1 or 2 day tournaments,
Hmm.
and for like 1 day tournaments, you sometimes have only 15 minutes to like turn around and wrestle again.
Yeah.
So getting over that loss is almost like you have only a few minutes to like adjust to it and just kind of almost like let it go, like all right, I can't do anything now, all I can do is move forward.
Hmm.
Um so losing at trials, it was so hard. But you literally, all you can do is just like, okay, at this point I'm just gonna keep wrestling because I'm here and I'm just gonna
Yeah.
do the best I can. So it's like, it's crazy how much you learn from wrestling and in tournaments, because yeah, like I said, you only have, sometimes you have less time than that. So
Yeah.
like for instance, like if you're fighting like MMA or something, and if you lose, it's not like you have a tournament to go through. It's you compete that one fight, but wrestling you
Yeah.
compete multiple matches. So
Back
it's
to
like
back.
emotions are crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I being a kid and just wrestling. I remember like when I first started wrestling, like I never understood why why they took so long. But I mean, of course,
Mhm.
there's just so many different weight classes, so many different people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
especially like, yeah, for like little guy, I remember it's like
Hmm.
super chaotic because sometimes you'd be in the tiniest little gyms with like so
Yeah.
many people, and yeah, it's definitely crazy, like for whatever level you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. Um. So my next question: what got you into wrestling? Why wrestling? Why are you so dedicated and such a natural when it comes to wrestling?
I would definitely give full credit to my mom and dad.
Yeah.
So Julie and Rich Guerin, they are the ones that got me into it. My dad had the background of karate when he was younger, and then he later on got into fighting and MMA and stuff like that. And he was a professional fighter for a long time, and he had his own MMA gym. And he was the one, I was pretty much raised like on the mats. We say that all the time, like when I talk about how I got into wrestling.
Yeah.
So I was already raised like seeing my dad and seeing fighters and people do jujitsu class or boxing and stuff like that. So I was just watching it, just being at the gym all the time when I was younger. So I started jujitsu when I was 4 years old, and I participated until I would say 16 years old for jujitsu and even boxing, and I competed in jujitsu as well when I was like in my gi and stuff like that.
Nice.
So that's where I first started martial arts, I guess.
Yeah.
And then at the age of 5, my mom and dad, I always say this, but they had me watch the movie Vision Quest, and because when you turn 5, you go to school and you start kindergarten, and they were like, I remember they were talking to me saying, you're gonna start school soon. What sport are you wanting to participate in? Like, they named a couple, and I was like, I don't know. And then they were like, well, what about wrestling? And I was like, what's that? Like, because I didn't know what that was. And
Yeah.
I remember they started showing me pictures, and then they sat me down to watch the movie Vision Quest. And I was 5 years old. I watched the whole thing like pretty thoroughly. And I remember
Yeah.
at the end of it, they were like, "This is what it is," and they were talking me through it. And I remember saying, "Well, wouldn't I look funny in like the headgear?" And like, I don't even know. I was just like a little baby. So,
Yeah.
they're the ones that I give full credit to. They started me in wrestling when I was 5, and I started here in Yakima at YPAL. It was Team Fury Wrestling, so I was there for a
Nice.
while, and I competed. Like I said earlier, it was only a few months out of the year for little guy wrestling. Up
Yeah.
until I would say 12 or 13, I started USA Wrestling. So yeah.
Nice. That's crazy. Honestly, that's a very a great way to kind of show a 5-year-old on like what wrestling is.
Yeah, they showed me that movie, and it's classic wrestling movie from the 80s, and yeah, it's super awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember when my dad, because I did AAU in basketball before like getting into wrestling, and my dad was like, "Hey, you guys want to do wrestling?" And as a little kid, we watched WWE growing up, and I was like, I would love to do wrestling.
Yeah, like the freaking like RKO's or something.
Yeah,
I
I
love
thought
that.
I was gonna be jumping off turnbuckles and whatnot, but it ended up being what it was, and I fell in love with it too. So I mean, it was no different for me. But that's awesome. Shout out to your parents for getting you pulled in. So with your boxing and your jiu-jitsu background, like have you done MMA? Have you fought?
I have not fought. I competed in jiu-jitsu, gi and no gi. So gi is with like, it's a gi that you wear with a belt, and so you compete in that. And then I also did jiu-jitsu without a gi. It's just like rash guards and shorts. So I did that for a while when I was younger, but I haven't fought yet because my parents, they didn't want me to fight from like when I was super little, like 9 or something. I was considering it for a long time, but my entire dedication switched over to wrestling at a young age. I started getting super serious when I was 13. So by that time, I feel like that's when some people have their first fights, even that's super young. But I either was going to do MMA or wrestling, and I was pretty good at wrestling. So my entire dedication has been wrestling for a long time. But
nice.
I'm not saying like I won't ever do MMA because I feel like I have it in me to compete and do MMA in the future because I mean that's my first like love. Wrestling was my second, I would say, because I started doing jiu-jitsu and stuff like that at a young age, and I haven't been doing it too much recently because wrestling
I can imagine
takes up so much of obviously my time, and I have to focus on that fully to be the best wrestler I can be. So I feel like once I'm done with wrestling, hopefully either whenever I make an Olympic team, that will be like okay, because that's my first goal is make an Olympic team and obviously win gold. That's my ultimate dream. And definitely. I know that'll happen one day for sure, but after that I want to go into MMA. If I'm not, at least I don't want to be like 40 years old going into it, but definitely in the future.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And yes, you definitely will. I definitely see you being out there, and I can't wait to see you win your first Olympic gold medal, holding it down for the United States.
Yakima, Washington. Too,
yeah, absolutely. It would be awesome, man. That'd be super cool. Speaking of MMA, did you watch the UFC fight this Saturday?
Yeah, I saw obviously McGregor and
Poirier.
I did. So that was like pretty much the only one I wanted to watch because I don't keep too much. I haven't been keeping up with MMA for a while. I did when I was younger, probably like 2010 to 2015, but because of wrestling, I've been just kind of busy and stuff. But
yeah, definitely.
I definitely watched that, and it was crazy. I didn't even know who I wanted to win, but
what's your thoughts like on everything that happened? Like,
well, just from what I see and from what Jordan shows me on Instagram and stuff. I know McGregor talks a lot, of course, and that's just how he is. And I think for the marketing side of things, like people want to see that, and they want to see like the crap talking and stuff like that. But
the entertainment behind it.
So I feel like that's a part of it. But I definitely was leaning towards I don't know if I'm saying it right, Poirier's side.
Poirier, something like that.
Yeah, I was leaning to his side because I just like the more humble fighter and the fighter that's not super cocky. And I know McGregor, that's how he is. He's showy and cocky, and he's an amazing fighter. But when we watched it, I was expecting it to go at least 3 rounds, not just one.
Yeah,
so it was like we were watching it on our phone, and we were like all screaming, and we're like, oh my gosh, because it's like we watched like his interview before the fight, and he was just saying like something big is gonna happen, and like it's gonna be crazy, and like that's not what we expected. It sucks seeing anybody get hurt.
Definitely.
No matter like how cocky they are, but it was crazy to see.
No, it definitely was. I mean, I'm a McGregor fan. Like I really appreciate his story, and like I mean the cockiness. Like I got a lot more respect for the humble fighters, and like it is when it comes to mixed martial arts. Any martial arts, there's a lot of respect behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned that that's just him, and it does sell fights. And but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean aside,
It's like the build up behind it. Everybody's like,
yeah,
oh, they hate each other, and like
yeah, and
it's pretty fun to watch. But
it's something because I grew up watching boxing a lot with my family.
mm-hmm.
Like, every Saturday, or not every Saturday, but every other Saturday. So often it was like an Oscar De La Hoya fight, a Mayweather fight, Pacquiao fight,
Mm-hmm.
Arturo Gotti, like all the
All the big boxers.
yeah, back in the day, and Mayweather did that really well. Was talk smack, mock the fighters, um, and so like it just it's just super entertaining to watch. But yeah,
For sure.
I would have been fine either way. Like I'm not a sore loser. Like I'm not one to back up someone if they've clearly lost. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
for sure.
I'm not a blinded fan that's like oh, he could be anyone.
Yeah.
Like the last fight when he fought him the time before. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly I seen that to me I think he let up when he was hitting him with the first round when he was getting him with the punches, and then Dustin came back, and I think he just kind of let his foot off the gas, and I think that's where he messed up, and he was
Mm-hmm.
really humble after that fight. But yeah, this whole the shenanigans that he had going on, it was a little extra. I mean, a little more extra than what he typically does,
Yeah.
but no, it was crazy when I seen him go down, and
When it
like
happened and everything, yeah.
yeah,
It's
so
like ugh. It's just like, cause I've been injured before, not too many times, thank gosh, but like just seeing it is just
yeah,
like, even if you haven't been injured, it like makes you cringe. So it's like
yeah.
it sucks to see anybody get hurt,
Yeah, it
whoever they
does.
are.
Yeah, yeah, and so I mean, in yeah, when I seen him on the ground talking smack, I just was like,
He's
man,
still down there, yeah.
yeah, like this guy's still fighting.
Yeah, he's all like, foot's all casted up already. He's still talking crap.
Yeah. So, but hopefully, shout out to them. Hopefully they are able to run it back, and hopefully he's able to fight and keep maintain his skills, because going under the knife, going under surgery, it does like it. You're not entirely 100%, but
Mm-mm.
that doesn't necessarily mean you can't come back
No,
as
for
strong.
sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them. Um, um, Now, going back to your wrestling, when you're on the mat, like
Mm-hmm.
when you're wrestling, what's going through your mind? Like what's are you do you black out? Like what's going through Cameron's mind?
Um, I would say like leading up to my matches and before my tournament, I pray a lot, because I know for me personally, if I overthink or if I like literally like talk to myself in the match and before the match, then
Yeah.
I'll mess up or I'll kind of pause thinking about it. So I've learned to, uh, I pray a lot and make sure, like, I ask God, I'm like, please just keep my nerves calm and just allow me to perform to the best of my capabilities, just like physically.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
so I've practiced that a lot and just staying calm and breathing. Before my matches, I feel like sometimes I am pretty nervous and I'm all jittery.
Mm-hmm.
But once I step on the mat and I'm like in my stance, then it's like I don't black out completely, but like I really try to let my body take over and not like overthink it, because
I see.
wrestling is, it's, I would say like 95% mental and like
Mm-hmm.
5% physical. But
I agree.
because if I overthink, obviously I'm like I know I've done that in a match and I like stop and like something happens and they shoot on me or something. But I feel like I do a pretty good job of keeping my nerves, my staying calm and stuff. So I've been practicing to just let my body flow naturally and just react naturally. So
Nice. Yeah. So that's that's awesome.
yeah.
I'm especially with all the years that you've dedicated. I'm sure your body's like it almost probably reacts on its own. I'd imagine.
Yeah, and even, like there's just so many, like it's crazy how much wrestling teaches you, like even if like I completely dominate a match or whatever, I'm still like, oh, but something happened, like this is what I need to get better, and like moving my feet, like um so yeah, it's crazy how much wrestling teaches you, like
Yeah.
off and on the mat. Um so yeah, it's definitely taken years and it's still taking time to, get down, my perfect match and stuff like that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been undefeated throughout your whole high school career. Is that right?
Yeah, high school was 126-0.
Yeah.
So for yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that was
126
that
and
was
0.
crazy like
Some
thinking
light.
about it now,
Some
but
light.
yeah,
No,
no,
I'm
but
just
I
kidding.
remember before high school like cuz my mom and my dad have been a part of my, every step of my career. So we had a 4-year goal, not just for me but also like my family and just like to
Yeah.
represent Davis to win four state titles. So that's what I did.
Nice.
And obviously, like my first year, I remember like, oh wow, like I won all my matches. I didn't lose at all. Cause I mean, at that point, like I knew like my level was that was expected. Like
Yeah.
going into high school. So I know that was my goal for sure, was to win four state titles. And after my first year, my goal after that was like, okay, I won all my matches. Like I'm gonna do my best to like not even lose my entire 4 years in high school. So that's what I did after, and I just stayed so focused. And yeah, obviously I wrestled year round at that point, and I was
Nice.
already
You
doing
were
USA wrestling and stuff. So
polished and everything.
yeah.
Was there any matches throughout your high school career that were like that was a battle or that were came close to?
Some of them, like I remember, like my freshman year, there was like a match that was like it was only 3-0. Like I remember my first state championship was like 3-0, and then the next one was like I think maybe 5-0, and then later on it started getting like okay, I'm like dominating a little bit better. But I think
Yeah.
when I was a freshman, it was maybe harder because I was wrestling girls that were already like seniors and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Older and
yeah,
yeah.
even though like, and I know like I might have like been better than them or whatever, like just the confidence over the years, knowing that I can do this, like I
Mm-hmm.
think made it so I could actually like dominate more and like wrestle more, because I would hold back, I think, sometimes when I was younger.
Yeah.
And so I'm still like sometimes I still do that now, and so it's always a learning process.
Does your confidence in wrestling, does that ever like carry into your like just your personal life? Like is there things that you're not confident that doesn't pertain to wrestling?
I would say like wrestling has helped me so much like with my confidence, because like I remember, when I was young up until even high school, like being like one of the only girls like on the team or like practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so being the only girl was like scary enough. And I remember just my parents like saying like, "You're the only girl. Like this is amazing. Like you're doing so much. Like there's people that would, even guys that would even want to wrestle." And so I was just like, yeah, I am the only girl on the team or whatever, if I was,
Yeah.
and that would help me. And then even like in high school and stuff like that, like I would say a lot of my growth um happened then. Like I remember I went to Wilson Middle School, and most of all my friends went to Eisenhower.
Yeah.
That I like, I had a lot of friends over there, and like only a few kids I knew went to Davis, and I was having the hardest time say like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to Ike or Davis. Like I wanted to go to Ike for my friends, but I knew like in my heart I needed to go to Davis because of wrestling, because their
Yeah.
wrestling team was better. And so I guess I kind of sacrificed a little bit, but in the long run I wouldn't have changed anything, because I love Davis, and
Yeah.
it was a great experience. And yeah, I remember like being a freshman, I only knew a couple people, and so I was like, dang, I don't have that many friends. I was just like, "Ugh, this sucks. Like all my friends over there." But then like eventually, like I had a couple friends, but like my freshman year, I was like, you know what? I'm here for wrestling and just school, and so I'm like, I don't care if I'm like, I don't have like, oh, I'm not super popular right now. Like later on,
Yeah.
it'll come. So I was just
Yeah,
like, I
you're
didn't overthink it too much. I just kind of went through it, and
you're gonna wrestle for the United States of America, so it doesn't even
yeah, I was like, you
matter.
know what? It's just temporary. My mom was always like, high school, it's like it's temporary, so it's not like that's not going to distinguish your life. People change so much after high school and
Yeah.
grow so much, and so yeah, it's just temporary.
No,
So that helped a lot.
that's true.
Knowing that.
It's crazy how much like just high schoolers and their mentality. Even for myself, like it's the hope is that things will stay for the long term, but life is so crazy and it changes so much. It makes you change. So
Hmm.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
you made the right decision by going to Davis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
for someone that did go to Ike, yeah, the wrestling program was definitely a lot more prestige at Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely you can see where it's helped you.
Oh yeah.
So your ultimate goal in wrestling is to be an Olympic gold medalist. Is that right?
Correct.
Definitely.
Yep. That's been my goal for, I think, since I was 9, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Do you have like a vision board, or is there things that you do to kind of like reaffirm that goal of yours?
Yeah, I don't have a vision board, but I guess the closest thing to it would be my journal. I
Hmm.
have a few journals. I've been taking a break right now just because I'm on a break for wrestling for a little bit until I go back to school. But
Yeah, definitely.
I write. I have a journal that I write. My technique and what I need to work on. And I'll reflect after tournaments, like okay, what went good, what went bad, or even during practices, I'll have goals like no to get taken down or
Yeah.
work on this move that you've been wanting to work on, or just open up a little more. So I would say keeping a journal like has helped a lot. I started probably doing that when I was like I think 14 or 15.
Yeah.
So even just like without like not even wrestling like related,
Yeah.
I write down like whatever I'm thinking, or if I'm stressed, I just write things down and try to like put it down on paper. I feel like it helps me, and um so wrestling related, and then off the mat it's helped.
Yeah.
So and then writing my goals for sure. Like I know you've probably seen people like, oh, uh, for instance, like they write a journal every day, and at the top they put state champ or 2021 state champ or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'll do that too sometimes if I have a big tournament coming up and stuff, just to
Nice.
see it visually,
Yeah.
because I know that for me at least, and even for a lot of people, it helps mentally just seeing like, okay, my goals here, like I'm gonna make it a reality. So
Yeah.
that helps. Keeping a journal for me.
That's powerful. That's awesome, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, I, just the journey itself on like being a better version of yourself. Like for me, I've learned that writing things down helped me achieve the goals that I've wanted to achieve whether it's be like mental, physical, financial, or just with school.
Mhm.
Um, and so like knowing that you an all time badass is writes their stuff down, their goals, like it's cool. It just reaffirms that is something that helps.
Yeah, for sure. And I know every person's like different.
Yeah.
Um but I would say if like people do need like help, or they want like they're stuck in a rut or something, like I would just say like starting there, like that's so easy. Anyone has a pen and a paper, like
Yeah.
so I would just say that's something simple anyone could even try. And if it doesn't work, of course, like do something else. Like I
Hmm.
know people like to talk instead of like write things down, cuz I know for me I keep things in a lot, and like
Yeah.
if I'm dealing with things, like I don't like to talk too much. So that's why I like keeping it more personal and to myself, like writing things down. But with even bigger issues, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
talk to somebody, and I know that helps as well.
Definitely.
Just speaking about it.
Yeah. I mean it. I what I mean just the journey myself. Like I understanding your emotions. Sometimes that frustration, the sadness, the confusion
Mhm.
comes from us not understanding what we're dealing or what we're feeling with inside, and sometimes writing things down that's helped me.
Mhm.
There was an exercise that they had us do in school when we were like upset.
Mhm.
They would give us 60 seconds on the clock to write every one word definition or one word description of what you're feeling right now,
Mhm.
as many words as you can. And then once we were done, you would reflect on that, just on what words you written down.
Mhm.
Like so, for example, like if you're frustrated, so frustrated, mad, upset, hot, um, angry, whatever
Just
else.
whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then when you had they give us like 2 minutes to reflect on that, and then seeing those words and seeing the different descriptions and what you were feeling, it did something. And so what they would do after that would give us another 60 seconds on the clock and be like, how do you feel right now?
Mhm.
And then seeing the comparison of like all those words being angry, upset, compared to calm, you know, understanding, not
Mhm.
upset. Like it really, there's power in writing words down.
Yeah, and even something like so small as that, like that could take like 5 minutes or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
like I feel like little things help people even like because I get in like sometimes I'm just like, oh, like why do I feel like it could be physically or whatever. Like sometimes you just don't feel like great and you don't understand.
Yeah.
And that could be a lot of different things. It could be stress, it could be depression, it could be whatever. So I feel like, yeah, like writing it down is not just like a feeling, it's like actually seeing issues that might need to be addressed. So I would definitely say writing things down helps.
Definitely.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your ultimate goal is to win Olympic gold medal. What is one of your ultimate goals outside the mat?
I have a lot of different goals outside of wrestling. So, in general, I would just say, it might sound a little corny, is just to be happy.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, not without happiness, like, or like, health, I'm not happy, and I can't live a good life that I want to live. So with that being said, I want to make sure I, get a good education and get a good job eventually. That makes money, but it also ties back into like happiness.
Yeah.
I know when I was younger, I want to be an anesthesiologist, or I want to be a plastic surgeon. And it's like, yeah, it's good to have those goals, but I'm coming to a point, like, even after my first year in college, like knowing and understanding that like money isn't like everything. Like, yeah, it definitely helps. Like, I don't want to struggle when I'm older and I have a family, but my ultimate goal would be, happiness, and just, making sure I'm healthy and my family's healthy, and just, I feel like that would be, that's the ultimate goal for me, wherever I'm at, if I, have a high paying job or not.
Yeah.
But
that's a great goal. And I mean, for someone that is, that's gone to school, has got the job that they need to get, yeah, definitely, like, happiness is what's going to keep that fire lit. I've seen people work, and you can tell their job just took their happiness, took their passion.
No, for sure. There's so many times, like, I mean, people have the most money in the world and they could just be unhappy. And I feel like, I'm a pretty religious person, and like, money down here won't matter, like, later on, like, after, when you pass and stuff like that. So staying close, to family, and spending as much time as you can with family is a big thing to me, because I've had personal experience with loss and stuff like that with my family. And so I feel like I've learned how precious the time we have down here is. So that's a big thing to me. Like, it's just like, people don't know until like they lose someone. It's almost like a wake up call. Like, wow, we don't have that much time on earth. Like, people may think, oh, I'm gonna live till 100, but you never know, like, when you could pass or something, or your family can pass, or your friends. So happiness and staying connected with your loved ones is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, that's a good goal, and I commend you on that, because to be able to walk through this life knowing that happiness isn't something materialistic, nor is it status. You definitely have your head on your shoulders, and makes sense why you are who you are.
Yeah, thank you. And it's not like, oh, I don't like nice things, or I like, I like vacationing, and I like, having nice shoes or things like here and there, but that's not the ultimate goal for me. So
that's good. So tell us a little more about Cameron outside the mat. What do you like? What are your hobbies? What you don't like? What's what things that make you laugh?
I would say my family definitely makes me laugh. So my boyfriend Jordan, of course, he's one of the goofiest people I know. He's so funny. And then, of course, my family, like, they're super funny. They make me happy. So I would say being around my family as much as I can, is something that I love to do. Hang out. I don't even care. Like, sometimes I like call myself a grandma because I'm like hanging out with my family, and I'm just like in my glasses watching movies. Like, that's like something, like, I don't have to be partying or doing anything crazy to like have a good time. So I feel like my family is something for sure that is a big part of my life. And for different hobbies, I would say I love cooking. I love baking. I'm not Gordon Ramsay or anything crazy, but like I love to do and try different things, baking and cooking. So I'll just like look up a recipe a lot of the times and just try it out. If it turns out bad, then obviously like I've had my experiences with that. But
as we all do.
My grandma actually got me an air fryer this last year, and I was trying to make these like little chicken bites, and it was like in an Asian garlic sauce or something. But I cut them like so small that they ended up being like the hardest little pieces of chicken. So I was like, oh,
No.
this is terrible. But no, I would say cooking is a passion of mine. I also really like going outdoors. I love hiking. I
Yeah.
love fishing. I love being on the water, like boating or like canoeing and kayaking, or even recently last week we went paddleboarding
Oh, nice.
on the Columbia River in Tri Cities. So I would say being outdoors is something I love. I honestly, I say this all the time. Like I feel like if I wasn't wrestling and I didn't have to kind of like build my brand and my platform, I wouldn't even have a phone. Like
Yeah.
so it's like when I go camping and stuff like that, like I love not even like looking at my phone or having all these like notifications or anything, because I am not the best at, like, I'm doing my best at being on top of my platforms, but if I had the
Mm.
choice I would just like not have a phone. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say cooking and being outside, being with family. um yeah, that's probably it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. It is tough. Like being, like you definitely got. I mean, especially at this point when you got like all the caps on your head, the one in charge of your social media platforms.
Hmm.
It's a little difficult. Keeping up with everything. Especially, I can imagine your schedule with wrestling, and I'm sure that's the last thing on your mind is keeping up.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like for tournaments, I'll turn my notifications off just because I'm like, I don't need to be responding to them right now, or like they can wait until after my tournament because I'm just like, I need to clear my head.
Yeah.
The most I'll do
Absolutely.
is like listen to music, but
Yeah.
I do like social media, just like keeping up with my family and friends. But I mean, I feel like we all could use a break every once in a while, so
Yeah. I agree. And
yeah.
man, imagine like professional athletes on their phones while they're at their games, like
I
tweeting and
know,
stuff.
yeah,
Like,
people do that. I don't know how, but
yeah,
for me, I'm just like sometimes I need a break, but also like sometimes I'm glued to my phone, so I'm just like, oh, like it's
it's a
like have
balance.
like hard balance sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. What do you do for self care?
Self care, like I would say right now, self care for my body and my brain would be just taking a little bit of a break from wrestling. Like
Yeah,
I still work out and stuff like that, but like I would say taking a break, and I like uh, to just kind of turn my brain off from like the stress of wrestling.
yeah,
And then school, obviously, I'm on a break for that. So self care, um, that's one of my self care. I don't get a break usually. So for wrestling, not a lot. It's only like every like once or twice a year for a little bit of time. So I'm enjoying my break right now.
yeah,
And so I would say that that's my self
definitely.
care, is just doing
Yeah,
whatever, like being outdoors and just relaxing and not overthinking
yeah.
anything.
What kind of music do you like to listen to?
Oh, I like to listen to, I feel like all types. I love rap, country, um, like pop and hip hop and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Recently I am like obsessed with Doja Cat and her new
Doja Cat.
album. I'm like, it's kind of girly, but I'm like, I love her music right now. So
Down, Lupita's all over Doja Cat right now, and
yeah,
Nicki
I'm like,
Minaj.
oh, I love Nicki Minaj and like Cardi B and
Yeah.
yeah. So
They got some bangers. They come out with some fire.
yeah, I'm like, some guys think, oh, this is girly or what. I'm like, no, this is a good beat. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
don't lie.
They're
Like,
going hard too.
they
It's
have
not
some good
like,
stuff. So it's
yeah,
like, yeah.
that's cool.
Mhm.
What's your go-to recipe for food?
It depends if I'm dieting or if I'm just kind of like not too strict with my diet. I would say my go-to this whole year, like even not dieting, would be it would be white rice. And then I have been obsessed with bell peppers for
Bell
like
peppers.
this whole year for some reason. So I'm like, oh, bell peppers are so good. So I like chop up a bunch of bell peppers and onion and saute them for a while. I when I cook, like I have the patience to cook, so sometimes it'll take me like 2 hours, but I don't even care
Yeah.
because I just love it.
Yeah.
So it'd be like rice, bell peppers, onions, and then like chicken or steak on top, so almost like a burrito bowl.
That
And then
sounds
I
good.
would make like an avocado like whip or something, like just make some kind of like avocado spread on top. So I would say that I'm obsessed with avocado.
Yeah,
And yeah,
avocado is good.
so burrito bowl, yeah.
Yeah, burrito bowl. Nice.
Mhm.
When you're on your diet, are you like Are you like tracking your calories, or is it just do you eat like only certain foods?
It sounds kind of bad. I don't really track my calories, but I think like mentally I kind of track my calories. So like, um, I definitely don't starve because I eat all the time.
Yeah, you need to eat. I
So
mean,
I'm like,
you need to
I
fuel.
never like, yeah, cut. I'm like, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 pounds you can cut weight, whatever. But like,
Yeah,
I'm not like starving. I'm never starving because
that's good.
that's horrible. I don't think that's a good way to, ever
Yeah,
be competing or anything. But
yeah,
I
absolutely.
like, the burrito bowls, of course, and stuff like that. And when I almost feel like the longer you wrestle and like or whatever sport you're doing, like your body so well, and so like I can be like, oh, I feel like I'm like 5 pounds away. Like that's pretty good. So I'm like, I'll have like a good meal. I'll have a bigger meal tonight. And if like the closer I get to my competition, I'll have a lot more smoothies and like juices and smoothie bowls. But
Absolutely.
no, I don't like that's not like all I eat because I know you have to make sure you get like different nutrients and like vegetables and fruit and protein and
Yeah,
stuff. So I feel like I kind of just eyeball it sometimes. Like if I'll have like a smoothie in the morning, and then like for lunch I'll have something like protein, vegetable, something I don't know for lunch, and then for dinner I'll have like something maybe in between both, like fruit, and then like something small, and then even like a juice. Like I love to juice so much. Like I bought a juicer from Goodwill actually because
yeah,
juicers can be so expensive. They'd be
yeah.
like
They
hundreds of
can.
dollars. So I'm like,
Yeah,
that was probably the best thing I got for my dieting needs.
nice.
Would be juicing. It's not like that's all I eat or drink, but
Yeah.
that helps a lot for me, like cleansing. And um, I think I got it for good, like at Goodwill for $15
Do you
because
know which one it is? Like what kind it is?
I don't know the name of it. I haven't seen it in a while since we've been here. I'll have to take a picture, but it's a
Yeah.
really good juicer, and it goes for like a couple $100 online.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think I started drinking juice when I was in Colorado. When I after I graduated, I moved to Colorado, and they had like juice bars and stuff, and they'd be like
Oh
a
nice.
small cup would be like $8, and I'm
Oh
just
wow.
like, okay, that's expensive. I'm like, I could probably do this myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I love juicing.
Yeah. No, there's a. I don't know if you guys seen it since you guys been in town, but it's called Vita Health Bar.
Oh yeah.
It's really
Mhm.
good. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
Everything they use is all organic and um, yeah, just they're a really good juice bar here in town.
I probably have to check it out because I've
Yeah.
been like, oh, that sounds so good, especially since it's been like so hot and stuff. I know there's a place in Wapato too. They do all types of stuff like that. So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
I
have
think
to hit them up before I leave.
yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely. And then for school, what are you studying for right now?
so right now I'm studying biology. So
Okay.
my coach B Fam from Davis, he's a doctor, and so we talked to him kind of before I started my school to like see what direction I should go. Um, so I could be in the medical field eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So he recommended obviously biology, and so
Biology,
that's
yeah.
what I did, and that's just kind of the basic thing I feel like a lot of people do and to get into the medical field. So right now I'm going to be majoring in biology. So,
Nice,
and I know
nice.
I'll have to after my 4 years, I'll have to go I'll have to do a lot more schooling after that, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing for now.
Well, definitely, that's cool. I had got a couple of friends that are biology and chemistry majors, and it's definitely it's a
It's challenging,
challenging
yeah.
field.
My
But
first year I did pretty dang good. So this year it'll be harder, but I'm excited for it. I feel like I like doing more like math sciencey things than papers. For some
yeah,
reason, like I used to be the opposite, but now I'm like I kind of
I
like not
switched.
writing
Yeah,
papers because I procrastinate.
yeah.
So
Don't we all, right?
yeah.
I feel that.
Mhm.
Um, what advice do you have for people facing obstacles to achieve their goals or their dreams?
Um, I would go back to saying like what I said earlier. Kind of is just um, if people are going through something, it could literally be anything. Like for sure, reaching out to people. Like everybody says that. Like, oh, reach out to someone if you're like having a hard time or something. But I would say, even if it's someone that you're not super close to, reaching out to people will help. I feel like even if you don't think it will.
Yeah,
So I would say that, and if you're stuck in a rut, I keep saying that. Even for you to do something yourself would be to write stuff down. Like you said, you could do that little practice of a couple minutes, even a day, write something down that maybe you're like upset about, negative or positive. I would say keeping a journal sounds kind of silly, but like once you actually do it, like it might really help you.
Yeah.
So for people, if they're stuck, like with whatever they're stuck in their life, I would say that for sure. Also, I always like say this, but like I feel like there's so many things in life that are like it's based around like how you are mentally. So like what I actually did a couple years ago that really helped me just feel better about myself and have less stress in general was like yoga, because it's physical. Yeah, it can be hard, but it's a form of meditation that helps, and it sounds kind of like silly, but I feel like that is something that really helped me because like I said, when I was in Colorado after I graduated high school, we would do because I lived at the Olympic Training Center for a couple years, we would do weekly yoga sessions for like an hour. And it was pretty much like hot yoga in the wrestling room.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first I was like, I've always wanted to do yoga. This will be fun. But I was like, I didn't know about it until like I started doing it. And we were doing all these poses, and like the breathing techniques helped me so much. Like I do that now, even like if I'm stressed, I'm like, I just need to breathe because breathing helps you so much. I feel like, there's so many studies like talking about how breathing affects your brain and just like releasing stress and stuff like that. So I would say, journaling, you know, even just like going on YouTube and looking up breathing techniques and stuff like that helps. And for goals, I would definitely say, I keep saying writing it down. If people have goals and stuff like that, and if you're a visual learner, I would say like write it down, or like, create a poster board that has all your goals. Like I know people have done that in school and stuff like that, but I think seeing something, with your eyes helps you kind of, almost manifest it. So I would say that, and then keep telling yourself and surround yourself with positive people definitely helps. Because if you're in like the wrong group of people that are just kind of negative all the time, that has like a big toll on you. And so even if you have to remove yourself from people that aren't like the best for you, and you know it, like you just got to do what's best for you, and your overall health and happiness is what matters, I feel like. So if you're not happy, obviously that's going to carry on to other people or whatever. So I would just say some people, just need to focus on themselves before anyone else. So slowing things down is good too, for sure.
That's great advice.
So,
I really.
I could talk a lot about it. I think.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
That especially the yoga. Like I've been practicing yoga lately. And just the times that I've done it, and the few times that I was consistent with it, like it really made a difference. Like I felt more aligned, like my spine, the way I was standing, my posture, my breathing as well. And it's crazy, like when people stress, like the body starts to, our breath gets shortened, and like slowly we kind of like, I want to say like cut off, but we lose that oxygen supply by our shortness of breath.
Even if you don't notice it, it's like, like it does happen. And I know like people carry stress in different parts of their bodies sometimes. Like for me, it's like in my shoulders, so I know if I'm stressed sometimes I'll like,
you feel
it's in my back and my shoulders, and so I'm like, I just need to relax. And so I definitely feel like yoga and meditation has helped a lot. So
definitely. And so one of my last questions is, what does it take to be a champion?
I guess this would kind of tie back into like your overall happiness and health. Being a champion doesn't like mean like, oh, it's just for wrestling or sports. It could be literally anything. You could be a champion, at work or whatever. I would say like the word champion can mean literally just succeeding and being positive in any area of your life and anything you do. So I would say just surround yourself with the best people you can. Have a good, support team with whatever you're doing. Try to take out any negativity that you have in your life as much as you can, obviously. And, being a champion, like, it doesn't mean you have to be, the absolute best. I would say, one thing I would like to say is don't compare yourself too much to other people, because I feel like I've done that a lot, and in today's world, like everybody compares themselves to everybody. Like, oh, I don't have the perfect body, or I'm not good enough in this, for wrestling. I'm not good enough here. I need to get better here because it works for them or whatever. I feel like taking care of yourself and focusing on your own growth is the most important because you're the only one that control your path. And other people, yeah, maybe it comes easier to them, but working harder, if you have to work harder personally, then that's what you're going to have to do to get wherever you want to go. Yeah. So I would say really try hard to not compare yourself to other people and their success or even their failures or whatever, and just focus on yourself. Yeah. I would say, and then go from there.
Awesome, definitely. Yeah. Well, before I ask you my staple question, do you have any questions for me?
I feel like we talked about so much. I don't have too many questions for you.
That's all right. Yeah. That's all right.
I feel like we talked about a lot and covered a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Not right now, yeah.
Definitely. So, so as you know, Joel's Mind podcast is about being a better version of yourself. So in Cameron's mind, what does being a better version of you mean?
Like I said earlier, I would say just focusing on myself and being the best person I can be. Because, again, I'm the person that can control my life, and, the decisions I make is up to me. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that anybody, even listening or just, like, in the world, like, to just do what you can, like, do for yourself. And, again, don't compare yourself to anybody, because once you start doing that, I feel like your mindset starts to, like, go backtrack and, like, overthink. And I think being the best version of yourself is just that. Like, it's yourself. It's not anyone else. Like, yeah. So just focus on yourself and be positive, be happy, love your family and your friends as much as you can. And just enjoy life as much as you possibly can, because you never know when, like, you're going to leave this earth or anything like that, even your family. And I would say if you want to do something, it might sound crazy, but just do it. If you want to go bungee jump, or if you want to go jump off a bridge, like, I think you should do it, because, like, you don't want to, like, ever hold yourself back or, like, be, in the future saying, oh, what if I could have done this, or what I could have done this, maybe I should have. So if you're in the present now, I would focus on, like, focus on the present. And if you want to do something, if you don't, like, it's your life. Do what you want,
Definitely. So. Well, I appreciate you, Cameron, for coming on Joel's Mind podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And having to get to know you more and just hear your experience, just hearing it from yourself. It's been a privilege and an honor. Is there a way we can follow you on your socials if we want to support you or watch you get your gold medal when you come Olympian?
Yeah, so I have my Facebook is Chasing Gold Cameron Guerin, so that's my Facebook page. And then obviously Instagram and Twitter are under Cameron Guerin. So Instagram and Facebook are the main two that you could follow me on in my journey.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Cameron, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I can't wait to, hopefully one day, I'm gonna book you now. One day when you become an Olympic gold medalist, I'd love to have you again on Joel's Mind podcast.
Heck yeah.
And, just make that happen and talk about your accomplishments when that does happen.
Thank you. Yeah. I look forward to it.
Definitely. Alrighty. Well, everyone tuning in, thank you for listening. If you want to follow Cameron, I will tag her links in the description. And then, other words, continue to be a better version of yourself. You heard it first from one of the greatest champions here, born and bred in Yakima. To focus on yourself, to surround yourself with good people, and do what makes you happy. So on that note, y'all have a blessed day.